Most people think the hardest part of the LSAT is logical reasoning, but reading comp is actually the real silent killer. It looks harmless because you've been reading your whole life, but on the LSAT, it's a trap. And if you've ever read a whole passage and realized you remember nothing, if you ever guessed on all 5 questions in a row because they all sounded kind of right, you're not alone. And the solution is not to do 50 more passages and hope something magically clicks. That almost never works. Reading comp becomes beatable only when you change how you approach it. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how. The wild thing is that there's a hidden pattern in every single reading comp passage, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so today, I'm going to walk you through that pattern step by step so you can stop feeling foggy, stop bouncing between two choices that both sound kind of good, and start treating reading comp like a game you actually know how to win. And if reading comp has ever made you think, I guess I'm just not a good reader, I want you to stay with me because it's never about your reading ability. It's about your mental model. Now, for your whole life, you were trained to read where you read slowly, you absorb every detail, you don't skim, and you treat every sentence like it matters equally. That is great for textbooks, but it is terrible for the LSAT because LSAT reading comp is not about absorbing information. It is about detecting structure. The LSAT is asking you to do the same 3 things over and over. Answer, what is the author trying to do? Who's arguing with who else and about what? And can you ignore 80% of the details and still understand the passage? Every reading comp passage is an argument, even when it sounds neutral, even when it looks like just background. The author is basically a lawyer in disguise. They're choosing what to emphasize, what to minimize, sharing who sounds credible, and sharing what seems outdated. And your job is not to memorize. Your job is to watch the strategy. Now, almost every single LSAT passage has the same 3 roles. You've got Scholar A or Group A, Scholar B or Group B, and then the author themselves. Scholar A proposes something, Scholar B critiques it or offers an alternative, and then the author of the passage either sides with one, refines both, or says, here's what everybody missed. And your only job here is to track who believes what. For example, some researchers believe that might be Group A, then they say, however, critics argue, that's Group B. Then we have this suggests that, which is the author stepping out with their viewpoint. And once you read with this lens, the passage stops feeling like a bunch of random facts and it starts feeling like a debate. Every passage is like a little courtroom. It's not a textbook chapter, not a Wikipedia article, but a courtroom because, of course, this is the law. Now, we've also got, of course, paragraphs and the passage skeleton. And most people read every paragraph with equal attention. That's why nothing sticks. But on the LSAT, you're not reading for details. You're reading to build a mental map. Each paragraph has a job. Background, theory A, a critique of A, then theory B, then the author's conclusion, and maybe some evidence or elaboration on that conclusion. And your job, while you're reading, is to label each paragraph's job, nothing more. So when you're reading paragraph 1, you want to slow down, read more carefully. They're setting the stage. You want to ID the topic and the terms of the debate. Then for the remaining paragraphs, you use targeted skimming. You read the first few sentences, pause and ask yourself, what is this paragraph doing? And you slow down only when a new scholar appears, a new theory appears, a critique appears, or the author reveals a viewpoint. Then you speed up when the paragraph is providing examples or they're elaborating on points you already tagged. So as you go, you want to build a tiny skeleton outline for each paragraph in the passage. Then, of course, you've got the questions. And there are 5 big categories. You've got main point, author's attitude, specific detail, function or purpose, and inference. Main point, attitude, those are general, global. Those are meant to be gimmies. Of course, they're not always that easy. The detailed ones referencing specific lines, you go back to the passage to find the support. But inference requires a bit more reading between the lines, a little bit more subtle, a little bit more nuanced, a little bit trickier. We're going to focus more on those today. Then you've got, of course, trap pattern wrong answers like the extremes, half-truths, and outside knowledge. Of course, extremes like always, never, must, entirely, probably too strong. The passage almost never talks this way. Then you've got half-truth answers that are distortions. The first half looks good, but the second half is where it goes off the rails. Then you've got ones that bring in outside knowledge, out of scope, going too far. You knock those out as well. Then there's timing. You've got 35 minutes for 4 sets, about 9 minutes each. I recommend typically 3 minutes to read the passage and build the skeleton, then 6 minutes on the questions themselves. When you're reading, you're finding the major viewpoints, labeling each paragraph's job, spotting the author's opinion, and sketching out the skeleton. Then during the questions, you ID the question type, jump to the right part of the passage, and knock out the wrong answers actively. And of course, because logic games are off the test, reading comp and logical reasoning are the remainder of your score. They are everything, and of course, reading comp is just 1/3, but even logical reasoning is still reading comp in disguise. And so the drills we do today are going to be like mini reading comp passages, maybe look similar to logical reasoning because, of course, the entire test is truly a test of reading comprehension. Today, we're going to focus more on inference questions because those are a little bit harder, and the entire test is testing your ability to read between the lines.